Happy New Year! What
Happy
can
New
you
Year, Sam.
expect?
Happy New Year, Amy. Happy New Year, Akeem. Got to help the whole crew back there. Happy New Year, Brian. You're there too. Happy New Year, Jana. Happy New Year, Jimmy. Good to see you there too. Always good to see my friends.
Welcome to 2022. We're going to
About
discuss our
time.
thoughts.
About
We're going
time.
to discuss our thoughts about what your church may face.
Well, what we're going to do, Sam, is we're looking at 9 realities your church will face in 2022. And we'll do these quickly, but I think each of them will be some nuggets upon which to chew, to think, to look forward. And I really this number one is kind of the overarching theme. There are a lot of reasons for hope. We're coming out of a pandemic. We've had quarantines. We've had churches closed. We've had all types of acrimonious debates, even squabbles and fights and splits within churches. And there's this kind of overall tension that is present that is saying, oh, it's just things are not doing well. There are a lot of reasons for hope. And you and I, being a part of Church Answers, we literally connect with millions of church leaders across the world, but we specifically see almost 2,000 on a regular basis that are interacting within our community, and we see struggles, but we see a lot of hope as well. And this hope is basically, hey, it's time for a fresh start. If there's ever been time for a fresh start, it is time for a fresh start.
Pessimists can't be leaders. They
That's
can't
one
be
of my
leaders.
favorite quotes by you.
Only optimists can be leaders. Now, you need a dose of realism, of course, but you have to believe that you can take people to a better place, which means by default, leadership is an optimistic posture, not a pessimistic posture. And the last time I checked the New Testament dad, I believe that the gospel has an optimistic posture as well.
Yeah, we win.
We win, we are victorious, and oh, by the way, God will save people. Now,
Yes,
they have a choice to
absolutely.
make, and we have to get out there and tell them about Jesus. But last time I checked, Bible still is God's word. Gospel still has power. Holy Spirit still at work. There
Absolutely.
is a lot of reason for hope. But churches have to be about the work of evangelism, which is your second point that you made.
I was about a month or two ago, a couple of months ago, speaking to the Salvation Army based out of Canada and Bermuda, if I recall correctly. And I brought up this point, and after I got through speaking, they came back to me during the question time, and some of the leadership of the Salvation Army said, "You know, what you are saying is getting us back to our roots. That's who we were, and that's who we need to be right now." Well, that is just one representation. We're not going to reach people in our churches unless we're highly intentional evangelistic. Cultural Christianity is dead, or at the very best, it is on life support. People aren't going to be a part of a church just because they think they have to do so to be culturally accepted. The only way that we're going to see our churches become healthy, remain healthy, and look forward to staying healthy is through evangelism. We'll watch that happen. Now, this sounds like bad news, but it's not. Denominational support will wane significantly. That
That's
does
the
not
third. That's
mean
the third reality.
that's
Yes.
the third reality, and that does not mean that denominations and networks or whatever are going away. It's just that we're going to have to do a lot local and contextually without depending upon some regional or some other state or district type adjudicatory authority or a network. They will be there, but they don't have the resources to provide us that they did in the past.
Yeah, we're certainly not saying denominations do bad work. They can very much do good work. The problem is they don't have the support that they need. They don't have the staff that they need. And the churches that are supposed to be supporting them are unhealthy and are not in a place to fund the denomination. And so it's this
Exactly.
vicious cycle of the denomination has more work than it can do. And these churches are not healthy enough to support the work that the denomination is doing. And that's one of the main reasons why denominations have declined is because the denomination is the churches and the
Exactly.
churches aren't healthy. So that means that we're going to see denominations continue to be able to do less and less, and it's an unfortunate thing. It really is.
Point number
But
4, I'm sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, there's the issue of attitudes as well. But you were going into it, so go, please.
Point number 4, attitudes toward Christians and churches are not monolithic. We really uncovered that truth many years ago in a book that was published called The Unchurched Next Door. And we found that about 8 out of 10 people are receptive to an invitation to church, a similar number are receptive to the gospel. We have this idea if somebody is not a Christian, that he or she is angry or bitter at Christianity, because that often gets the front page on social media. It often is what is highlighted. And there are a lot of people that are just either apathetic or slightly positive toward Christianity.
You know how you can better understand how your community thinks?
Does it have anything to do with number 5?
No. Know your
Okay.
community report.
Yeah, yeah.
Click the link below. We have a demographic and a psychographic report. So if you're it's a new year, you've got a lot of new people in your community likely, or if you've never even studied your community, it's time to know your community. So we'll
I
put the
love that
link below.
report.
If
I
you're wondering,
absolutely.
like, wonder what the attitudes are in my community, well, we have a way for you to determine that. Without getting into details, just click the link, and it'll take you to where you can check out the Know Your Community report.
All you need is your address and what you consider the typical driving distance time to your church. Just simple
Yeah.
as that. And we will give you 30 plus pages of information, including summaries. So you don't have to read all 30 pages if you don't want
Well,
to.
37 to be exact, but the first few pages are the summary. Yes.
Um, this next one, part-time vocational ministry will become the norm. It may already be. What's the definition of a norm? If you end up saying it's majority or better, we may already be there with pastors and staff. When you look across North America at 350,000 churches, not even including global churches, we may already be at the norm.
Yeah, I'll say this, it's going to start being recognized as the norm. I think it
That's a better
it
way of
is
putting
the
it.
norm, but people are gonna recognize it more as what's typical, or perhaps not as I think a lot of people have in their minds that most pastors are full-time. They're not. Most
And
church leaders are part-time, and I think more people are recognizing that.
Yep, it is becoming an increasing reality, and you're right, the awareness is there too. Number 6, horizontal growth. Vertical growth, we define as when you're trying to get everybody into Sunday morning. It may be multiple services on Sunday morning, but still one container Sunday morning. Horizontal growth means you're getting outside of that container. It may be a non Sunday morning on your same site. It may be another campus. It may be another venue. It may be another ethnic group meeting in your church. But horizontal growth means that we are getting outside of the container of just Sunday morning services. And we've talked about megachurches. Megachurches would not have grown over the
Mhm.
past 10 years without horizontal growth. That's been their source of growth.
Oh, if you look at the list of megachurches from 30, 40 years ago, they were all basically single site, and now if you look at a list of the largest megachurches, well, almost all of them are multi-site. So horizontal growth is, and by the way, small churches can do this too by just providing different venues and different options. It's not just a large church phenomenon; it's also a small church phenomenon.
Well, I told you this. I was working with your youngest brother, pastor in the Nashville area, and we just did a brief blue ocean canvas. And a blue ocean canvas is what can we do right now that maybe some other churches are not offering, not for competitive reasons, but to say where is a place for us. And we couldn't find anything other than Sunday morning, except a few Saturday services. And so we're looking at a non-weekend service, probably a Thursday night service. So
Yeah,
that will be horizontal growth.
yeah. Reality number 7 involves church adoption. So walk us through that one.
Well, you should walk us through that one. We estimate that about 15,000 churches are on the precipice of closing, and in order for them not to close, most of them will need to be adopted by a church. And adoption, yeah, we've often heard it as replant, restart. Sometimes the corporate phrase acquisition. Sam gave us the phrase adoption because a church that is healthier is bringing a less healthy church into its family, and that church is coming to be a part of the family. So church adoptions will be more and more common, and you've already done that at your church.
Yeah, I love it when people talk to me about church adoption because it was I don't know that the movement started at Church Answers, but we were perhaps a mouthpiece for the movement. So I'm seeing it more and more. And I think that this is how we can make what could be a very negative situation into a very positive situation. So keep that
Well,
optimism.
because those churches that are struggling, probably close to closing, once you bring them into your family, it's not like they're going to be 2 or 3 years better going backwards. They're going to be decades better than they
Yeah.
were. It's a great opportunity. We'll see more of it.
Yeah, point number 8, I think has been the case for quite some time, but because of the consequences of the pandemic, all of the problems got accelerated and exacerbated. So churches that resist change will decline more rapidly.
Mhm. You used to could hang on as a church resisting change because churn are the people leaving and people coming in. One would often offset the other. So the stalwarts would stay, and there would be a few people, cultural Christians usually, who would come in. Well, right now, the resistance, I must say, is predominantly in my generation and even older than me. And my generation
No,
is
your parents have given up. They've stopped resisting.
no,
It's the boomers now.
it's the book. You're right. The boomers are the most resistant. I'm right in the middle of the boomer generation, born between 46 and 1964, and the greater your resistance, the faster your decline. Now it used to would be a slow decline, almost imperceptible, but now change resistant churches will die quickly or decline quickly.
And reality number 9 is one that I have certainly seen really the last year, but I think it's only going to continue in 2022, and that's that more churches will struggle to find pastors.
I was talking to a church member whose pastor recently retired, just was worn out, and it's a typical church. Barely has paid a full time pastor, maybe 80 or 90 in attendance. Uh, Really not full time compensation, but they thought they had a full time pastor, and they were ready to go the traditional route. In this church, congregational government search committee. Those who are in that type of polity will recognize it, and they cannot find anybody. No one. They're barely able to find people to fill the pulpit to preach on Sundays, much less find someone who wants to be a pastor. And you know, I'm I have suggested to the church member to suggest to the church that they look at making this a true Bible model or even a Covo model. No, we need a full time pastor. Well, you really haven't been paying for a full time pastor for 17 years. So why they're fooling themselves, I don't know. But that is what will happen. More and more churches will struggle to find pastors.
Well, we certainly hope that your church has a good 2022. We hope that the church in general is able to start recovering from all that has happened the last couple of years. These are realities. Some of them have maybe perhaps a negative bent to them, but they are a reality. That being said, I do believe that there is a whole lot of hope out there, and I think churches can and will get to a better place. We're excited about helping you do that at Church Answers. So there is a free trial that you can get, 30-day free trial to our silver membership. You can find community at Church Answers if you feel alone, if you felt like you just don't know where to go. We have a place for you. And for those first 30 days, just get in there and try it out. So it's risk free. The link is below. Also want you to like this video, hit subscribe. We'd love to be connected to you a little better. And visit us at Church Answers, churchanswers.com, where we are growing healthy churches together.